Good evening and welcome to ParaWeekly. I'm Derek Hayes and these are your paranormal news stories for the week of December 6th, 2021. Last week, Congressman Tim Burchett spoke in front of the House of Representatives to voice concern about the new Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group, a group that was first announced by the Pentagon back in November and was formed to investigate reports of unidentified phenomena in sensitive areas. Representative Burchett expressed concern about a lack of transparency to lawmakers and the public in the following clip.
Last summer's UFO report, Mr. Speaker, from the Director of National Intelligence was bogus. The report raised more questions than answers about unidentified objects in the skies. It stunk of a government cover-up, Mr. Speaker. Now the Pentagon is starting a new office to collect information on these unidentified objects. The office is called the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group. I do not trust this new office, Mr. Speaker. I don't think it'll be transparent with lawmakers or the public about its findings. This is a national security issue. Congress needs to know what is going on so we can respond accordingly.
Now, of course, this is a developing story. We'll keep you updated as it progresses. An author and cryptid researcher is making waves after announcing he found what he believes to be the grave of a Sasquatch. Now, Thomas Markham, a native of Kentucky, often explores the backcountry, photographing his discoveries. And earlier this year, he stumbled across something that, if he's correct, has the potential to rock the paranormal world. Markham snapped these photos while on one of his rounds, and he claims them to be Sasquatch graves. The mounds of dirt and rock were found some 30 to 40 feet apart in an area with frequent reports of the beast. Now, Markham has found other similar mounds in the area over the years, but he says these have the most potential, stating, "This hump of dirt resembles a grave more than many of the others I have found." Now, the location remains undisclosed as Marcus awaits accredited volunteers to excavate. Now, if Bigfoot is your bag and you happen to find yourself in the state of West Virginia, a new location just opened up that's likely right up your alley. The West Virginia Bigfoot Museum opened its doors earlier this summer to the small town of Sutton, West Virginia. Now, the small museum, located in the rear of a bookstore, was opened by Laurel Petalico to celebrate legends surrounding Braxton County. Now, the museum features sculptures, casted footprints, and artwork, and Petalico hopes that the museum will breathe some new life into the tiny town of Sutton. Now, if that area sounds familiar, it's also home to the infamous Flatwoods Monster and Flatwoods Monster Museum. That sounds like the makings of a cryptid road trip to me. And now for this week's Sightings of the Week. Now, this evening's first video comes to us from Papacatapatl, Mexico, where an active volcano has been home to numerous UFO sightings over the years. Now, this video was released by Mexico Minute and appears to show some sort of craft ascending from the top of the mountain. Now, could this simply be a plane flying toward the camera? Or could this be further evidence that there is an alien base within the volcano, as local legends suggest? Now, I found this next clip on Instagram and I couldn't wait to share it with you. There's not much information on this one. The description, aside from some hashtags and some contact information, simply says, "Shocking unknown creature / monster swimming in an Asian river." Now, the video clearly shows something with teeth moving along the surface. It appears to have a small eye and what may be a gill plate, suggesting it may be a fish. But if I'm honest, I can't help but notice it appears lifeless in the water. The movement, at least to me, seems more aligned with something being dragged rather than something propelling itself through the water. What is it that you see? And our next UFO entry brings us back to the States, where in Farmington, Utah, a husband and wife caught the following footage on their way home from dinner on November 27th. The witness writes, "On our way to get onto Interstate 15, we both noticed a very bright light above the mountain in the sky. My wife asked that I stop the car so she could get out. I did, and we watched for maybe 5 minutes total. It was large. It was not a star nor a radio tower, as it was clearly off and above the Wasatch mountain range. Now, it's difficult to say whether this is simply a drone hovering in the sky, or if this is legitimately something unidentified. But I can tell you it's not the only wild UFO capture this week. The skies over Berkeley, California were also abuzz with activity when a construction worker captured this footage from atop a house he was working on back on December 1st. Now, the witness writes, "I climbed on the roof of a house I'm working on and captured a UFO made of about 7 lights. The lights quickly dispersed in different directions while one light remained for about 25 minutes. Understandably so, the phone didn't quite capture the triangle shape of lights dispersing. It's quite different in person, and I can guarantee it wasn't ours." Now, the video appears to show 3, 4, possibly 5 lights forming a triangle or diamond shape, and whatever is pictured, it's pretty big if those points are attached. Or could this simply be planes on their approach to a nearby airport? And finally, a Kentucky man just might have captured a photo of the infamous Mothman. Twitter user Dr. Rooftop Kentuckian posted this image the evening of November 26th, along with the following message: "View from the front of the ambulance making a run in the middle of BFE." Now, this image was captured from aboard the ambulance in which the witness works. In the photo, you can clearly see a tall, slender, dark brown or black creature with glowing eyes staring back at the photographer. Now, it appears the entity is standing alongside a one-lane road and perhaps a utility box of some sort. And the photo has stirred up mixed opinions. Some suggest it may be Sasquatch, which, as we learned earlier in the program, is said to exist in the bluegrass state, while still others can't help but notice the similarities to Mothman from nearby West Virginia. What do you think we're seeing here? Be sure to let us know in the comments section below. And now it's time for viewer-submitted evidence. Now, before we get into tonight's encounters, a quick reminder that the following stories were sent in by viewers like you. So if you have a photo or video you'd like us to share, send us an email at contactparaweekly@gmail.com. Now, our first submission was sent in with the following message. "An orb my friend captured in his son's bedroom. If you listen closely, I'm pretty sure you can hear a whisper say, 'I can fly.'" Now, I'm not normally an orb man, but this one gave me the tingles. There's something strange about the object in the video. It doesn't look like an insect or dust. It almost appears to be made of some sort of liquid. Now, the creepiness is doubled when coupled with the EVP, which I will replay here. Now that's downright spooky. Our next entry might be more easily explained, though. Christy writes, "I cannot figure out what this might be from my doorbell camera. I have seen hundreds of moths over the years, but this is no moth. Dragonflies have thin wings. I looked up insects in Colorado and showed several people this video. The long tail is what I cannot figure out. Could this be a fairy?" While lore and legend of fairies, the fae, and the forest folk have persisted for centuries, I believe this one to be an old-fashioned insect. My guess would be the Luna moth, which I believe is indigenous to Christie's location. Note the long tail off the wings. Tell me, does that look familiar? And our last submission was sent in by Andrew, and he writes, "I'm a hunter, but I also really like watching wildlife without shooting anything. So I have a number of trail cameras, and I put one up in my mom's front yard. On top of catching lots of deer, I got a single image of something a lot spookier. 3 children running through the yard holding hands." Now, this photo was taken on October 29th and appears to show, just as Andrew suggested, 3 children running hand in hand through the darkness. Now, Andrew was quick thinking. He sent his niece and brother-in-law out to the location a mere 6 minutes after the children's photo was taken, but they were not able to detect the sign of anyone present, let alone 3 small children. So given the fact that the photo was taken near Halloween, Does that lean towards some sort of prank by neighborhood kids? Or has the veil thinned so much that a few spectral trick-or-treaters managed to slip in? A huge thank you to all of tonight's submitters. And that's going to do it for this week. Please like, subscribe, and tell a friend about our program. And we'll see you back here in 2 weeks. For ParaWeekly, I'm Derek Hayes. Keep it spooky, and have a good night.